I always wanted to be a carpenter. I thought those guys did such cool stuff, like, just watching them, how they could create something out of nothing. And I shortly then realized after I tried that I would never be able to keep up with these guys. They were awesome at what they did.
Can you do me a favor? Can you look in the camera and say like, comment, and subscribe?
Like, comment.
Like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. So to my grandson's channel. Say like, comment, and subscribe to my grandson's channel.
Like, comment, and subscribe to my grandson's channel.
You heard it. Okay, so today we have my good friend Jim Giamboy. We've known each other since high school. He is the owner of Margo Properties. Before we get started, I'm excited to have you on today. Before we get started, can I turn it over to you to tell me a little bit about yourself and your company?
Yeah. So, Jim Giamboy, owner of Margo Properties. We are a residential and commercial construction company in Philadelphia and New Jersey. Father of three recently, within a month.
Congratulations again.
Yeah, which is cool. When I came up with the name Margo Properties, and we'll get into this too, but I just had one kid. It was Margo, obviously. So I think I came up with the LLC when I was going to buy something, a piece of property somewhere. So I was like, oh, Margo Properties, great. I'll just roll that into the business and just, keep that name going. And then I had Rose. So I made my emblem a rose. But now I have Michael. I have a third. So I think I got to rename the whole thing. So don't be surprised if in a year or two, it's not Margo Properties anymore. I tried to make it sentimental for the kids in the family, and it's falling apart.
Yeah, if you guys keep growing, it's going to have to keep changing. Or you could just keep adding. I like what you did, though, like adding the rose. You'll have to figure out a way to add him in there, too.
Yeah, I'll go for something that's a little more, builder friendly, because I think, maybe something a little more generic.
I like that. Can you talk a little bit about what your company does? I know you said high level, but.
Oh, yeah. So we do a lot of new construction, ground up construction. We do, everything from inception to the final. We do, I wouldn't say like major renovations, but we do major renovations. For example, some of the buildings in the city, cut the back of the building off, extend it, foundation. It's basically like new construction. And then we just finished an adaptive reuse. It was an old Pico substation built in like 1944 or something like that, and converted it into 18 apartments and 8 artist lofts. So 26 units total.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you do anything from residential, not so much smaller jobs, but residential, bigger jobs, and then all the way up to commercial, huge. Yeah.
And not to say we don't do small jobs, because, I'm a people pleaser. So if I get a call and it's someone's like, hey, will you help me out with this bathroom, or, a contractor bailed, or, we need help finishing this, I don't really turn anything down either.
Okay. I remember this was years before you started your company, but you helped me take down my super old awnings in South Philly when I was there.
Yeah.
I remember you brought, I don't even know what type of saw you brought, but we were just grinding that thing apart. We ripped off what we could and then just cut it up while it was on the wall. Okay, so that's really cool. Can you walk us a little bit through your career journey and how you ended up at where you are now?
Yeah, so I started construction about 20 years ago now at this point, in high school summers, working with Dave Schwartz Construction. And I worked there after high school, up until my dad passed in 2009. Then I took like a 2-year hiatus. I should mention too, the idea for me was always try to go to school and get a degree in something. So out of school, I got accepted to Newman. I think I did 2 semesters there. Then my dad passed and all that happened. So then after that, I took about a 2-year hiatus on everything. And then I got a job at ARIA, Jefferson Hospital now. Went back to school to get my degree in computers. And then I met Julianne, my now wife, and we wanted to move in together. We moved to the city, and quickly I realized that I wasn't making enough money at the hospital. So I called Dave Schwartz back again, and he hired me back. And then I started back for him in the trash truck is my big break.
Okay.
And I worked there with, I think there was a crew of 10 guys at the time or something like that. And, he had like 10 projects going on. My dream at the time was like, wow, these guys are great carpenters. I think I could keep up with them. And I learned like they were so good at what they do. So I think it was, I forget when, but Dave went on a vacation, and I told myself during that vacation, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna set these guys up and help them get the projects done, what they need done, make sure they have everything they need. And then from there, it kind of blossomed into like more of a managerial position and keeping the jobs moving and the guys busy. So then I was with Dave for another, when did I left shortly after COVID, and I partnered up with the developer. And it was a different transition because I hadn't seen that side of construction or the business or how anything started. So I was with him for about 3 years before I finally opened up Margo Properties.
That's awesome. Okay, so that makes total sense. You get to the point where you find your kind of space in construction. It seems like this is where you want to go. What makes you want to take that leap of faith to start your own thing in the entrepreneurial side? Tell
Well,
me about that.
in that 3 to 4 year period between leaving Dave and partnering with him and starting my own thing, for before I, actually signed on with the developer, it was always understood that I'm going to be doing my own thing eventually. This isn't going to be a forever thing. But in that time, I think it was valuable. I learned a lot, what to do, what not to do. I learned the business side of things because he was just starting a company too with me at the helm of construction. So I think that was pretty beneficial in transitioning into my own thing.
Okay, so you and I have talked about this in the past. You've always wanted to kind of start your own thing, right? And before you didn't know what that meant. There was always this want to, you learned more, you wanted to learn different sides. Now that you're on the entrepreneurial side, it's much different. What would you say the biggest change from your perspective is doing your own thing versus working as like partnering with someone else or working for another larger organization?
I mean, the biggest change is, it all falls on you at the end. Um, yeah, it's more than just like, here's a set of plans, go build a project. I think it's you have to be a master of personalities. You deal with so many different people, different trades, architects, developers, engineers, the whole nine. And you have to be involved in every single thing. So I think that was a big jump and change. Not that I wasn't doing it before, but now it's like I have to be at the helm of it. I can't be in the office somewhere or someone's just giving me the information. I have to either chase it or figure it out or find it.
Okay, so then is that now, do you find yourself gravitating more towards the business aspects of what you're doing, or do you still gravitate towards, or when I say gravitate, I know you have to do both of these things now. You're a small business, you're the one doing this all, but do you enjoy the business side of things, or do you still enjoy more the project management piece or managing jobs and making sure things get done and being out on the site?
The site by far.
Okay.
I obviously office work and admin comes with a part of the job, but being on site with the guys, seeing something, come to light or seeing something being built is so much fun. There's no
Yeah,
comparison. Yeah.
that's cool. I know you mentioned before, you said one of the things that you enjoy most about this work is seeing something from inception or from the plans to being able to realize what that will turn into or the final product, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's fun. I have a little 5-minute rule that I follow, and I use it for everything. If we just finish a project, if we have a huge problem, if something, bad happens or we win a big job, you take 5 minutes to enjoy it and then move on because you can't bask in anything. I think, especially if there's a blunder or a mishap or something like that, you just got to move on and tackle the next issue and just keep everything moving forward.
I love that. I think that's great advice. I was just about to ask. So you mentioned it, but that goes for the negative as well, right?
Yeah.
I would imagine it's harder to implement that rule when it comes to negative things than it is to positive things where you're like, all right, this is great. Let's keep moving versus,
Yeah.
yeah. So you, Is that something you try to instill in the people that work for you too, or the team around you, or is it just for yourself?
I think that's more just for myself.
Okay.
My big thing with my team and the guys is like just empower them to get the work done, have the confidence to do something, even if it's something trickier we never did before. It's, you know, I'm fairly easygoing with if there's a mistake or something like that with our guys. No one's perfect.
That's great. What would you say? So, from the outside looking in, what would you say is something more surprising in your day to day work?
I think how much time goes into like planning versus building is
Okay.
surprising. I shouldn't even say surprising, but I think it's more in depth than I originally thought as being like, because I was a part of those meetings prior. So now I'm in the forefront of those meetings. So
Hmm.
I think the planning's a big one. And I like hammering out the details too. What else here would be like, and I don't even know if it's really surprising either, but how like emotionally attached I get to these jobs. I
Oh,
love these
that's
jobs.
cool.
I love these jobs like they're, my kids.
That's really cool, actually. I think that might be surprising. Not everybody feels that way about their work.
Yeah.
Do you feel that way because you want to make sure that it's right for the customer, that it meets exactly what you're looking for, or what do you think
Both.
do you enjoy most? Both?
Yeah, yeah, both. And like the quality and standard like that every project has to have too. I think is pretty big. I mean, you know, people think construction's like, oh, blueprints and hammers, but a big part of it also is like psychology because it's mental warfare doing a project from beginning to end. You have so many obstacles and things you have to figure out along the way.
That's really cool. And I know you kind of, when you and I spoke before, you told me about not your philosophy, but how you manage your clients currently, where you don't want to take on too many because you want to make sure that the job is done right, which not everyone does. So do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so like I'm not at the point where I'm trying to scale into this big, construction company conglomerate. I want to do 3 to 5 projects a year and do them really nice and do them really well because each project deserves so much care and attention.
That's great. Okay, so on to the namesake of this podcast, If I Knew Then. So is there something you wish you knew earlier in your career, or advice now based on your hindsight that you would give yourself earlier in your career?
Yeah, so it would be, you know, set yourself up with good subcontractors and a good team to build your brand and your network. I think that if you work with the same individuals and you're not, you know, you don't have a carousel of different guys coming in and out. You can really control the quality and the standard of your project and how they come out. You can anticipate everything. I think it's really important that, your guys and your subs know how you want things done and you have the same expectation on each project.
That's great. I think, the way you said it too about your network, I think that that's applicable probably across everywhere. Is you meet people along the way, and sometimes you don't realize how important it is to make sure that you foster those relationships and you keep your network for whatever it turns into. In your case, you ended up having your own company, and you've had some good relationships which allow you to have uh, consistency of the folks rather than the carousel that you mentioned.
Mm.
I think that's great advice. Is there a piece of advice you would give someone who's potentially looking to follow in your footsteps?
Yes, no 2 days are the same. Every day is different. If you're looking to get into construction or running a construction company or anything in general or HVAC company, it doesn't matter. I would say go to sites early, link up with the company and see if you can shadow. See if you can shadow not only the field guys, but also the office and the admin to see how that side of everything works too. It's a whole different animal.
Do you recommend that they do something similar to what you did, where they had different jobs within construction first so that you had a better understanding of generally how things are done? Or do you think that it works similarly if someone finds a narrow path within the field and follows that along?
I think it works multiple ways, right? So I've met guys that have come out of college as project managers and got into construction. And then I've met guys who were in the field as carpenters and then start their own companies. I think there's a couple different ways to get to where you want to be as a construction company.
Okay. So, looking ahead, what's next for you? What's next for Margo Properties, or soon to be named something else potentially?
Yeah, name change.
What what are your future goals?
I think just consistency is the future goal. Just keep up doing good work on projects and keeping the clients happy. And we have a couple projects next year that we're really looking forward to coming out of the ground. And just keep the train rolling. That's it.
That's great. Before I let you go, anything else? Oh, why don't you plug Margo Properties? How do people find you? How do people get in touch?
So I have a website, margoproperties.com, and then we are on Instagram at margo.properties.com, or not .com, at margo.properties. And, all my contact info is on there. James at margoproperties.com is my email. All getting rebranded. New name soon. For now, that's how you find me.
For now, reach out with any questions or if you want to learn more, right?
Yeah.
All right. Awesome. Thank you for doing this, Jim. Anything else you want to share or add?
That's all I got.
No. All right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.